Tivoli Storage Manager version 5 to version 6 migration, upgrading on Windows. This is a recording from an earlier webcast that covered the TSM v5 to v6 migration topic in detail. Our speaker is Tom Heppner of the IBM Advanced Technical Skills Organization. If you'd like to see a replay of the entire webcast, look for the links in the comments section of this video. And now, over to Tom Heppner.
I'm going to give you a quick overview of what this process is going to look like. What we're going to be doing is upgrading a Windows v5 to v6, and we're going to move the database objects across the network. So that's what we're going to cover. And so we got an image here of a production v5 system that's getting overloaded. And so the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to add some new hardware, connect it up, make sure that everything works. And then we're going to go ahead and prepare the version 6 system. And then we're going to actually do the upgrade, and the data is going to move over from version 5 to version 6 across the network. And at the end of the day, you'll have everything connected back up, and you may have your version 5 temporarily working for some amount of time depending on how you've planned your upgrade and transfer, but then at the end of the day, everything will be moved over to version 6 and you'll be running there. Let's go ahead and go over some specific sections. The first one, and again, this is in the upgrade guide that you'll find at the end of my presentation, and it's probably in everybody else's too. This first section, I just want to go over. This is what I call the rollback, but what I mean is there's a chance that during the upgrade process, something may fail, and you may have to either roll back or revert back to version 5. And so there's some specific things that we need to do here. And the first thing is to run this command, an admin command, convert USS file space. And this is for the old Z-series machines on version 5 where they have the Unix system services file spaces. So you need to run that, and this is, if it's a possibility that you may have some of those file spaces, this is important to be able to go back if something fails. And then we're going to update our storage pool with the reuse delay of 31 to make sure we delay any reuse of those volumes for a good period of time, and you can choose that number. We're going to update the copy pools to 100% reclamation. We're going to rename or delete the node lock file in the server instance directory, and then we're going to lock out any other administrators that might inadvertently get in on the system. This is as we're preparing to get started. The next group I'm calling insurance. This is your database backup, storage pool backup, backup your dev config and your vol hist, and then you're going to send all of this off-site before you get started so that you know, or at least as soon after as you can, to make sure that everything is protected and you can recover if something were to happen in the middle of the process. Then the next section here is I call summarize. This is where you go through and you run, you could do these select commands, and this is a short list that I have where you can have a list of your nodes and your file spaces and all the files. We'll see it in a little bit different way here when we see the demo. But this is just a good way for documentation and comparison at the end of the day after the upgrade is complete. And then finally, what you're going to do is you're going to shut down that version 5. You're going to check the processes and sessions and the mounts and make sure that everything is stopped so that you can go ahead and halt the server. Let's go through some videos. What I'm going to do is switch over to my media player, which I think will show these a little bit better. This first one, we're going to show the version 5 machine, and this is really would fall into the category of that summarize step. We're gonna log on, and then we're just going to query some of the basic things that you're going to want to look at. So there's all of the administrators that are logged on to the system, so you might know that you can remember to log them out. Take a look at the storage, and then finally the occupancy. And I think a good indication there, if you write down and if you document that the number of files when we get done at the end of the day, you'll have a good feeling about that the version 6 is up and running. So now this is one of the steps in preparing. So we're going to go into administrative tools and local security policies here, and we're going to have to change some account settings. And by the way, this is a 2008 server machine. So we're going to go into local policies and security choices. And the first one that we're going to make sure is this administrator account status. And we want to make sure that this is set to enabled before we begin. And then we're going to go down here to this, to the second one. This is called Run All Administrators in Admin Approval Mode, and we're going to want to disable that. And that's all there is to that one. So then the next one I'm going to show you is we're going to open up some ports on the firewall. Okay, so this is the advanced firewall settings dialog, and over here on the left we have inbound rules. We're going to create a new inbound rule to open up these ports. So we're going to select ports here, go to next, and then we're going to add the ports, and the ports are 445, 137, and 139. And then also, if you haven't already, for the V6 system, you have to do this, open up 1500 or whatever ports you're using for the TSM server. And then finally, and let's see, let me back up just a little bit here. Notice that you have to do it on all three of those accounts there. And then give it a meaningful name, and then it'll go up in the panel when you get done. You'll be able to recognize it in case anything has to change. All right, I'm going to go back for just a second here. See that? Okay, so see up here at the very top, allow TSM upgrade ports, so that's all there is to that. Okay, now the next one we're going to do, we're going to create a new user ID, and then we're going to add them to the administrative group. So here's our new instance user ID and TSM inst1, which is pretty much the default, putting in the password. Then we're going to add that to the administrators group, make sure it has the proper authority. And then we're going to also add it to the DB2 admins group, which was created by the server install package. Okay, then the next thing we're going to do is create the directories that we're going to use. So we've chosen TSM data, and then these are where the database, that's where the database is going to reside. And then here's the active log coming up and the archive log. Final one is the instance directory itself. Okay, not too painful there. And the next thing we're going to do is the big guy here. This is the actual upgrade wizard. And we're going to start the wizard. The name of the wizard is DSM UPGDX. And make sure, there can be a little bit confusing, so you just have to make sure you've got the right one for your platform. And also, one thing I didn't mention, and we'll see it coming up here, is that, so here's the wizard starting. This wizard is going to prepare the new database. Oh, here we go. This is what I wanted to pause on. So the one thing that I didn't mention in the version 5 preparation, I should have put a section in there. You need to install some upgrade tools that you can download, and this is the page that tells you where to get them and reminds you that you have to do that before you go to the next step. So now we're going to tell the system that it's a remote system, and we're going to give it the IP and the admin and the password for that. Next. And here's the name of the server, and that one kind of flipped by quickly. Okay, and so what we're going to do, what I want to show you up here in this section, if something does fail, depending on the cause of the failure and if it can be corrected, you can restart this wizard, and this is how you do it in this section. So that we're going to say, this is the first time we're running through this, then we're going to go ahead and start. So what this wizard is going to do is really going to prepare the database, and then it's going to tell it. Right now, it's doing part of the preparation, and we're going to tell it the method in which we're going to move the data, and that's right in this section right here. We're going to move it across the network as opposed to writing it out on volumes and then moving them over. Then, okay, we're telling we're going to actually log in to the new TSM server here, and we're going to get ready to do the extract and configure and insert. So at this part, we're setting up and showing where, telling the wizard where all of the database files are, and we've created notice that we moved the active log size down to just 2 gigabytes, which is the minimum for this test system. It's really small. So then we're going to go ahead and put in where stop this. There we go. So we're going through and we're checking out all of the where all of the directories are for the database and recovery log. Filling them in, and then here we are at the end of the process to verify that everything was put in the way it should be. Now we're actually creating the database image and building that, and of course this process has been sped up for the purpose of the demonstration. It doesn't go this quickly, but it's directly proportional to the size of the database. So now we're getting ready to do the insert of the metadata that we've got out of the version 5. And for the most part, the messages are informational, and I don't think you really, unless you do this a lot, you're going to go through and look at those, although you can see there that the appropriate volumes have been mounted, and there's some extract commands that you can see going on there. And there we go, that's completed, and in the process of inserting the new data, we're going to refresh the services dialog here and show that the server has actually been started. So when you complete this, your server will be up and running. Okay, so let's go ahead, and we have one more that is kind of short, and one that you've pretty much already seen. We're just going to log on to that new system and check all of those things that we did when we started out to make sure that the admins are still defined and the storage is still the same, and the occupancy, we can see there that we have the same number of files for the file spaces that we had on the version 5 server, and we do. Well, that's it for the TSM version 5 to version 6 upgrade on Windows. Thanks for joining.
Thanks, Tom. If you'd like to see a replay of the entire webcast, including migration demos for AIX and Linux, Here's the link for the replay. Thank you.